Hello. Thank you for joining our Lunch and Learn this afternoon. We're going to wait just a minute because we want everyone who's in the waiting room to have just a few more seconds to sign on. So we'll begin really shortly. Thanks. I think we can begin. Hello. Welcome to our fifth Lunch and Learn presented by the Charlottesville Police Foundation and the Charlottesville Police Department. We are very excited to be presenting this series and so glad that you're joining us today. My name is Gail Milligan. I'm the Executive Director of the Foundation. We're deeply appreciative to the Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy for facilitating this series for us on Zoom. Thank you, Diane and Katie, as always. The Lunch and Learn series is one of the outcomes of our engagement in the community last year and is part of our core mission to inform and connect. Before we begin, I wanted to share a brief overview of our work at the CPD and the CPF. Simply stated, the Charlottesville Police Foundation serves the community by serving the police. We seek to improve the quality of life in Charlottesville by offering a community partner for our police department. The foundation promotes excellence in police services by investing in programs that enhance our department and yet are beyond the reasonable reach of the city's budget. We reward excellence by celebrating the successes of our department and the skills of its officers. And we strengthen the connections between the department and the public through outreach programs and community events. The newest example of this is this Lunch and Learn series. Best examples of the diverse support we provide include housing grants to officers so they can live in the community they serve, an awards dinner, an Officer of the Month program, advanced training for officers, grants for specific needs such as K-9, technology and programs in the community, and outreach programs like Cops for Kids Day held most years at the Boys and Girls Club and the Charlottesville Night Out, which celebrates police and community. To clarify, we are an independent 501c3 nonprofit. And while we partner with the Charlottesville Police Department, we do not report to the CPD or to the City Council or any other part of the city government. We are not a police union, nor do we do the work commonly associated with police unions. And to the extent that we advocate for the CPD, it is to improve the quality of policing as a community service. I make this note because there are common misperceptions about the role of the foundation, and we like to clarify these whenever we get a chance. Before I introduce our presenter, I wanted to acknowledge the verdict of the Derek Chauvin trial last evening and note the fortuitous timing of this important discussion of our community and police. Corporal Eric Thomas has been with the Charlottesville Police Department for 9 years. He has served as a field training officer, general instructor, crime prevention specialist, gang specialist, and as an assistant team leader for the crisis negotiation team. A note, you can add your questions in the Q&A section of the bottom of your screen, but we'll hold your questions until the very end of the presentation. Corporal Thomas, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. So I just want to get started by saying I just want to thank the Batten School and also the Charlottesville Police Foundation for setting this up for a very important topic and something that's very dear to my heart, community policing, relational policing. So what we're going to do today, I'll talk about a couple events, but also have some videos of officers at different ranks within the department talking about what community policing means to them, or how they're attempting to bridge gaps or barriers in various communities. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. If you have a question, raise your hand in the chat room, and Gil will get to you. Okay. So I'm gonna start out by saying, we all have goals or ideas of how we can improve something. And for me, and numerous people within the Charlottesville Police Department believe that, these 4 steps right here can help further our relationship and make our relationship with members of the community in a positive manner. And we're going to start with trust. Sorry about that. So what is trust to us? It is a sincere interest and collaboration with community members, just working together. And the question always comes up is, how can the police get trust in the community when you see stuff happening throughout the country? One thing I tell new officers in training is, as police officers, we have discretion, right? We don't always have to arrest someone, especially for low-level offenses. Cut somebody a break from time to time. And that's what, in our field training program, that's what we preach. And that's what we expect of our new officers and all of our officers to understand that we're all human. And people make mistakes, and sometimes they need help in a variety of ways. But we can use our discretion. And then there's another very important part of policing or society in general is accountability. Surely this is a huge topic in policing throughout the nation and the world, is accountability. And you guys, if you pay attention to the Charlottesville Police Department website or Facebook, you'll see that we're doing these things actively. Our policies and our procedures are online. We updated our internal affairs section online, in which, if you have a complaint against an officer, how accessible it is to do that. There's a variety of ways that you can file a complaint or express your concerns about a situation without having a confrontation on a traffic stop or something. But we have complaint forms in which you can hold officers accountable for their actions, or what you believe is not the proper way of handling the situation. Another thing we do, we have continuous training. Currently, right now in our training unit, we have Lieutenant Brake and Sergeant Vi, who they're all the time, putting out new trainings, trying to help develop our officers to help serve the community in a better way. Another thing that we do, also going back to the policy and procedures, are we make all of our data from various calls for service available to the public. Our policies are online. Our procedures for handling various things, they're all online. So we can be the most transparent department that we can be. Communications is something that I think is very important. Me myself, I love to talk, but most important is listening. We can have a conversation right now, and most people, as they sit here, they're already preparing a response. And that's not right. You need to actively listen to what the person is saying, listen to understand, and be patient. So that's what we're trying to do here. Before, or as I was making this presentation, I actually talked to some community members and ask them, with communication, what can we do, or what are we doing uh, that you think that helps situations? And one of the things they said was, uh, when there's an incident, a critical incident, to promptly and frequently provide updates. And we do that, and that leads to my next point down here, using social media. How do we do that? Our PIO, Talahan, he puts stuff on Twitter, Facebook, and I'm sure there's other social media sources that he used. But we want everyone to be informed, so everyone knows what's going on, and just that we can communicate back and forth with each other. And something, communication is something that I really didn't put much on the slide, because we're just using this as visual aid. But communication, from the bottom line, is being able to talk to someone, well, is they're like you or they're different from you, but just being able to talk to that person, um, and actively listen to that person, and listen to understand, and then developing as an officer, we can work together, right? uh, for solution. And it doesn't always have to be something law enforcement related. Um, you know, in law enforcement, we're in a 24-hour business, so we're always available. Um, there's many a times that people will call uh, about things that's not truly police related, but they need advice. And as a police officer, what are we? We're an ambassador for the community, for the city of Charlottesville. Um, and we accomplish so much by good communication. And that's something that we always need to improve, communication. Um, and then I'm just going to round it off with respect. Um, you know, growing up, the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated. Um, but how do we do that? How do we show respect to each other? Um, Clearly, all the things that I mentioned before, especially communication, but just understanding that we're different. We live in a very diverse community, um, but you just got to be open minded to differences, uh, just in life, just differences in life. Um, but another thing in the field training program that we promote and they can help with respect and understanding is, during your non-enforcement interactions, try to make the best of it. All right. Get out of your car, talk to folks, whether you're on foot, on bicycle, on Segway. We have a couple of dirt bikes for the trails, on dirt bikes, bicycles, our motor guys on motorcycles, whatever. Try to make the most of non-enforcement interactions. Um, that's what we're hoping that people will remember most, is the non-enforcement aspect of it. One thing we do, and you guys are going to see, we participate in so many community events. But that's a way to get to know your residents. The people we're here to serve. Um, but you just need to get out, interact with folks. And that's what something we preach. That's one of our expectations. And that's what we're going to do. Not just drive around in your neighborhood. If you do have to drive, we are in 10 square miles. We do get a lot of calls on, depending on the time of year or the day. But another thing, let down your window. A closed window in a car, it says it we're separated. So at minimum, I tell my guys, at least wind down your window and say hi to someone, or just be seen and get to know your folks. But what you guys are going to see throughout this PowerPoint, so there's a series of videos that were created. And I asked several people, or I had our PIO ask several people, what is their impression of community policing within the Charlottesville Police Department? What do they do to help bridge that gap? or what does community policing mean to you? And you guys will get to see some of these videos, and hopefully you guys could just get a small portion of what members of the Charlottesville Police Department see and feel about community policing. But this is going to be one of our first participants here.
Hi, my name is Jerry, and I'm a record specialist here at CPD. I feel one way our officers bridge the gap between them and the community is by the bonds that they have built with the citizens of Charlottesville. We often get calls from citizens wanting to speak with officers they have built relationships with. For example, certain citizens call in to services and specifically request to speak with Corporal Thomas in regards to assisting them with concerns or issues that they may be having based upon the relationship he has built with them. So that's what it's all about, the relationships and the ability to maintain those relationships and trust between the officers and citizens, both in uniform and out.
All right, so our next person, our next officer who will speak about community policing is Captain Durrett. And I chose Captain Durrett for various reasons, but most importantly, and I joked with a group of people, and I talked about Captain Durrett, and there's like, everyone on, in the neighborhoods, they call him Tito, but they're like, Tito is the most famous police officer in Charlottesville's history. So it wouldn't do you justice if I didn't have Captain Tito Durrett in the PowerPoint.
Community relationships in the police department. For me, growing up here in the city and working over two parts. One is establishing a relationship and then building a relationship. We as law enforcement, me as a police officer in this city, is being able to create those two things, establish those relationships and then build upon it. I've been here almost 30 years. I grew up in this city from 15 to my adult age, and some of that is building relationships, trying to go out and meet people even though they are in crisis or going through an issue. Being able to understand it, sympathize, and come up with some solutions to those problems is another way I think relationship building is in our community.
So one of the first programs I'm going to talk about is First Tee. And First Tee is a program. It's a youth program that we go to the middle school, or Walker, which is actually an elementary school. But we get kids who may or may not typically have the opportunity to participate in the game of golf. But the ideal is that you'll teach them some values of respect, integrity, but also this allows our youth to interact with the police in a non-enforcement setting, in a fun setting, and where we can be ourselves and have fun together. But for the last couple of years, Sergeant Lewis, he has, in partnership with the First Tee of the Blue Ridge, he has helped organize this event.
So community policing to me is, getting out in the community, building relationships with community members, businesses, and other organizations that help out the community. Part of what I've done in the past is work with the First Tee program, which is a golf program that also teaches life skills to youth that are in our schools. We partnered with the schools where we would pick them up from Walker Upper Elementary every day and bring them out to the golf course. And while we were having fun playing golf, we were also learning life skills. So that's one part of community policing for us. It's not really a business, but it is a community organization that helps out kids. So yeah.
All right.
So right here is going to be Captain Nick. And Captain Nick, for years, have been very active in community policing, building relationships with the community, but specifically with kids and young adults with special needs. Captain Nick, he is our organizer for the torch run, the polar plunge, and all of this is in support of Special Olympics of Virginia, that benefits athletes in our community with physical and intellectual disabilities. But here's a little piece from Captain Nick.
Community policing to me, it's really about being there as kind of a guide for a community. Somebody that can assist, somebody that can show a little bit of compassion, show that someone's area is important to them, but it's also important to us. And being able to get in there, be a resource, break down the walls and the bridges that oftentimes come in between the police departments and the different community members, and just to be there for them, not only to help them with their problems, but also kind of help to show them and give them guidance on things that they can do to overcome some of the problems that they face themselves.
Okay.
But like I said, with Special Olympics, as you guys can see in some of these pictures, you see Captain Nick in the mix of everything. But if you guys aren't aware, the Special Olympics of Virginia and throughout the country, when we do these events, we raise funds. But this is all part of a year-long sporting competition, athletic competition throughout the country, with thousands of athletes, with disabilities. Going out playing basketball for someone without a physical or intellectual disability may seem simple, but for some of these guys, it may be a lot more difficult. So being a supporter of this and going out and interacting with this portion of the community is very important. It's something that Captain Nick, myself, and CPD, we take with pride and we participate in annually, to help our community members. Another part of Special Olympics is the torch run, and this is throughout the country. And for this portion of the torch run, law enforcement officers throughout the state run over 1,900 miles, and then they end in Richmond to begin what they consider the summer games. So they have sporting events and all this kind of stuff. But when you run, you're raising funds, and although this is a difficult run, as you can see, we have some of our, on the top left corner, some of our SWAT guys running. We have some guys on the downtown mall running in full uniform, and some guys running in front of PD being led by one of our motors. But we're just showing that we're running for these athletes. They try so hard, and they're doing a great job. And this is the way we're going to support them, by raising funds so they can continue to participate in these events. Another thing that we participate in is the polar plunge. Polar plunge occurs every year in Virginia Beach in February. As you can imagine, February is not a warm month, but we jump in the ocean in support of the Special Olympics. And you have Special Olympic athletes there who also participate in this. You can see right there, the one runner is Sergeant Godfrey. He's running a 4-miler. But yeah, this is all in support of our Special Olympics athletes. That's our flag for CPD's flag in support of Special Olympics. All right, so our next person that I have on here, also sticking with the community members, when talking about community policing, who do they see as a ambassador for Charlottesville Police Department within the community? And numerous people mentioned Sergeant Bales. But here's a video of Sergeant Bales and what he has to say about community policing.
I think community policing, I kind of maybe have a older view of it because I've been a cop for around 25 years. I think community policing to me is building trust in your community. We have districts, officers and things, and I think the officers that work in the districts should be known by the citizens that live in the district. There needs to be a level of trust that that's their officer, and that when they have a concern about something, they've got a phone number and a face and a name to go with it, that they can call those people and talk to them and feel that their voices are actually being heard. We can't fix all problems. There has to be a collaborative effort between the community and the officers that are working. But the biggest thing is that you can't community police driving by in a car. You got to park that car and get out. You got to walk. You've got to establish relationships. You've got to know the people that live in that community. You need to know their kids. Even if it's one of those things that if a kid is kind of doing something he shouldn't be doing, so that you can call mom and go, hey, I saw, your son out the other day and he was with some kids that we've had issues with in the past. And, I know you're concerned about your son and you don't want him to go down a path that would be trouble for him, so that you can kind of intervene or help the family intervene without it becoming something where law enforcement is involved. The biggest thing is just for the people in the community to know you, to have a relationship with you, and to have trust in you. And that's the thing, where you can't just police from a car. You can't police from a building. You've got to actually be in the community, and you have to know the people. I know that I worked district, what was considered 7 and 8, primarily Hardy Drive, for right around 4 or 5 years. The relationships that I built there, I still have to this day. Now, some of the newer people that live there, I don't know, but a lot of the people still live in that community, and I can go into the community and, I'm met with smiles and jokes, and we talk about, people we used to know, and we even sometimes talk on people that have been lost in the community that we knew. You're establishing a bond. And when they have a situation come up, even today, I've gotten phone calls from people in different communities, about things they're concerned about that are contrary to the popular opinion about what they want the police doing. When you have people in a community that want the police there and they call you to have you there, even when that goes against what a small group of people that are saying they don't want you there means, that speaks volumes.
All right, that was Sergeant Bales. Another event that is one of my favorite events because I love sweets. Buddy's Ice Cream with a Cop. This is an event, and the foundation supports us greatly for this event. That Detective Hamill started a few years back. But what Ice Cream with a Cop is, it's an event during the summer months. On Saturdays we'll go to neighborhoods and we'll have ice cream, or in this case, in this picture, Kona Ice, with the residents free of charge. I've met a lot of people I typically don't see during these events. But this is one of the events that is free for the community. interacting with, the citizens in that neighborhood as well as passerbyers. But you have a couple hours just to chat and talk about whatever. Some people have questions about um, stuff happening throughout the nation when it comes to law enforcement. Some people have questions about events that happen in Charlottesville or incident that may or may not have happened over the weekend. But then on the other hand, some people just want to get to know you. Some community members just want to get to know the officer, learn a little bit about them. One good thing about Ice Cream with a Cop is that the district officers assigned to that working area, they're typically on hand to talk to their residents and to ensure that they know who their officer is. As Sergeant Bell has said and some other people said is, it's important for, you to be able to recognize the officer who works your area and being able to connect to them at minimum. Another event that Charlottesville participates in yearly is No Shade November, and we've participated in this for the last 3 years. Over the last 3 years, we've raised over $22,000. Last year alone, we raised $10,000, and the funds raised from not shaving or not, the cost of grooming during this period, we donated to Charlottesville Toy Lift. The years previous, the 2 years previous, we donated those funds. It came out to about $6,000 a piece to UVA's Children's Hospital. But this is an event that we enjoy, and it helps for a good cause. This is Corporal Bolin talking about No Shade November.
So our department has been doing the Winter Wool campaign for 3 years now, and in that 3-year span, we have been able to raise over $22,000 for 2 local beneficiaries. Those local beneficiaries has been the UVA's Children's Hospital and our local Toy Lift. And what the Winter Wool campaign is our department allows us to grow facial hair. In turn, we donate money to go to sponsor one of these beneficiaries, whether it be the Toy Lift or the UVA Children's Hospital. And our department votes each year on who that beneficiary is going to be. So this kind of allows us as a department to give back to our community by raising money to help, whether it's the Children's Hospital or the Toy Lift or some other organization. That's it. Is that good?
Another person, when speaking with community members about who is an ambassador for the police department when it comes to community policing, a lot of residents, including children, teenagers, high schoolers, they all mention Officer Shiflett. And Officer Shiflett, she spent numerous years in the schools as a school resource officer. But Officer Shiflett, she's on my shift, and every day you can see her going out speaking with a group of people. It doesn't matter on your social class, your race, how you identify. She's always greeting someone with a smile on her face, and a willingness to help. And I had a quote from Officer Shiflett, and I don't have it on here, that she wanted me to say. But just what she had to say is it's all about building relationships. And Officer Shiflett, she does that on the daily. Whether it's directing traffic for some students who are trying to go to school, reading books to some children, walking the downtown mall, talking to some patrons on the mall, wherever else you may see Officer Shiflett. She's always has a smile on their face, uh, and has an open heart and open ears to listen, and willingness to help. And that's what we need and we desire and we command the people, our officers, to be more like Officer Schiffler. Another group of our community that we strive to be a part of are our various faith-based organizations or community. To the right, you have Lieutenant Newberry, who's Charlottesville Police Department's liaison in the faith-based community. Some of the things that we do for our faith-based community is, risk assessments, or, talk to our congregation about, emergency plans, or, or just the meet and greets, But yeah, if anyone has any question about the faith-based community, has any questions, Lieutenant Newberry, he'll be happy to assist you guys. But we just try to reach every group of people. Another group is our one of our most vulnerable groups is our unhoused population. To the right, you can see Officer Lucas handing out some clothes that that people donated. And Officer Lucas, he's assigned to our downtown mall. So a lot of our most vulnerable people, our citizens, Officer Lucas sees on a daily basis. But he's always, whether it's finding a program they can be a part of, or other resources, community resources that can be provided, or working with the Haven, or in this case, collecting clothing for the winter months for this population. Our officers, we strive to help as much as possible. And this is an initiative that Officer Lucas took on himself. He didn't have any guidance. Honestly, he didn't. I'm being real with you. He didn't really want to be in his picture because he's a humble guy. He didn't want any glory from it. He's just doing what he believes needs to be done to help our community members who are in need. This is a video that was recorded by a citizen one evening of Corporal Boland giving out food to some of the most vulnerable people and vulnerable population. Right. Another thing that we did after COVID is we had little care packages that we would give out to citizens. In this care package, you had soap, you had gloves, you had a mask, you had some wipes, tissues. But we're just trying to be of assistance in any way that we could. This was very important in our unhoused population. There's numerous times, you have encounters with some of these guys and gals who didn't have masks, but we provide them with these packages to ensure that they're safe and healthy during this rough time. So this is some of our canines. To the left is our comfort dog. To the right is one of our patrol dogs. Even we get our canines involved and their handlers. The kids love them. Grown-ups, they see them and they talk about them, have questions about them, you know, but the dolls are our tool we use to do our jobs, to help keep the community safe. Yogi to the left is our comfort dog. Um, but our canines are very valuable, not only police work, but also on the social side. Um, you know, I can tell you, my children themselves, uh, they love animals. They love dogs, and um, they'll be more willing to talk about a dog versus something else. But this is just another tool we use from time to time to interact uh, and and reach different community members. Youth engagement is my belief and the belief of many others that you start them young, but here we strive to to be in our schools or daycares or preschools or community events, Boys and Girls Club, and interact with our youth. Um, Throughout the years, we've done a lot of events with the youth, from showing tales to tours of the police department to lunch with a cop, just various events. Um, and here you can see myself, Detective Hamill, at different schools or daycares, just talking about what are the police, why do we need the police, what does the police do, and that you can call us in the time of need. Um, this is Corporal Fink and Detective Davis, in both pictures. But this is a quote from Corporal Fink. Um, he said, "Engaging with youth is important to me because it shows them at a young age that I'm human too, and that they can trust me in a time of need. One of the ways I engage with our youth is through sports. Any chance I get to play basketball or throw a football around with a group of kids, I will. It's a fun way for us to learn from one another and see the human side of law enforcement." This is something I've seen firsthand with Corporal Fink and Detective Davis. You'll see them in the neighborhood any chance they get uh, to play basketball. Somewhere on the internet, there's several videos of Corporal Fink playing basketball with uh, some of the youth in our communities, and that's his way of helping, you know, to break through barriers. While you're playing basketball, it's easy, or whatever sport you may be playing, it's easy for us to talk about other things, whether it's school, life, your favorite sports team. But this just is another example of a non-enforcement event or setting that we strive to reach our community members and help build upon our relationships. These are other various pictures of um, members of our department, with our youth, from our motor guys on the motors, Corporal Sandrich, to some of the guys in our command staff, um, to Officer Pendleton, to Officer McCowan. Um, all of these officers are out there, willingly. They're not being forced to do these pictures, but they're out there, uh, trying to engage with our youth. And of course, we got to finish off with Sergeant Bales and a young man there. Another event that we participate on a yearly basis is Cots for Kids Day. This is a fun event that we do some static displays, some bike races. There's some food and beverages there, some demos. They get prizes, music, DJ. But overall, it's a community event. Although it says cops, for Kids. It is an overall community event for everyone to come out and interact with members of the Charlottesville Police Department. We do this in partnership not only with the Police Foundation, but also the Boys and Girls Club. But over the years, this has proven to be a great event. And I can tell you firsthand, I've met children here, and then, months down the road, I say, like, hey, I remember you from Cops for Kids and the Boys and Girls. So that's what it's all about. Being able to recognize at minimum an officer from one of these events. Something else that we've done over the years is invite UVA athletics to Charlottesville, the police department, to do a tour and talk about, what we do and how can we better serve university population. Yes, UVA has their own police department, but a lot of activities that our students participate in or live is in the city of Charlottesville. So this is one of the ways we're attempting to bridge that gap. One of our larger events that Gail mentioned earlier was Charlottesville Night Out. We've been doing this for the last few years. It started with 3 locations. Now there's one centralized location in which it's a free event. The community members can come out, interact with our law enforcement from Charlottesville Police Department and a couple of other agencies. But just being able to meet, socialize, fellowship with our officers. And this has also proven to benefit our officers. They've learned people and built lasting relationships from Charlottesville Night Out. But this is a fun event that we do every year.
Eric?
Yeah.
I told you earlier that my unfortunate role is the keeper of the time. And I just wanted to check in to see how much more time you need so that we would have, it's 12:48.
Okay.
How much more, so we could have a few minutes for Q&A and end on time. Thanks.
So I can wrap it up. It's a couple more events, but I'll just be very brief about them. Okay. This one of the last events that we do is West Haven Day. We go into West Haven, one of our larger minority communities, and we do events there. You have ice cream, play cornhole. We do safe Halloween to ensure that our youth can display their costumes and candy in a safe manner. Another thing that we do, we're wrapping this up, is Shop with a Cop. By raising funds, police officers and some of our children who are selected go and shop. They have a set amount of money to buy gifts for themselves or family. In addition, we do the Santa Van. This is one of our bigger events too. We get donations and assistance from the foundation, and some people drop off gifts. We go into neighborhoods and, to some of our less fortunate neighborhoods and give out gifts during the holiday season. And this is going to be the end. So, like our motto says, overall, our police department, our desire is to serve our community beyond the call, right? Not just during enforcement times, but any time of need. We just want the community to know that we're here for you guys. You guys, can come talk to us and we can come to a solution together. But we're one. We're a community. We need to work together.
Eric, thank you so much. I mean, I work for the foundation and I had no idea everything that you do. It's really quite remarkable. We have a few questions. I will start with this one. You've presented so many great community outreach practices today. Thank you. If you could choose just 2 things to help build trust between CPD and the community, what would they be?
So to build trust. So I think one thing that we have done in the past, we had community meetings in which we did a dialogue. We had a facilitator, and we had small groups, a couple officers, and a lot of times, you see stuff on TV that's not real. You look at CIS or whatever else, and you think that's reality, but it's not. But just the not knowing, but just the sitting down and doing a dialogue within community members, in my opinion, has benefited us the most. The second thing, just with trust, is let your actions speak, right? Yes, things happen throughout the nation, but judge me based on what I do and how I am in the neighborhood or my interaction with you. Yeah.
Thank you. Here's a comment, and then I have another 2-part question. This is from Kyle Boyd. He says, thanks very much. Proud to be a CPD alum. Keep up the great work and stay safe. So this next question, it's really 2 parts. So of the programs that you've done in the past, what that we're no longer doing, what would you like to see done? And what programs have you seen being done in other communities that you think Charlottesville might consider?
A program that we have not done in recent years, and I'm speaking on my opinion, not an opinion of the police department, that I've been a part of, and I think there was some benefit from, was the Citizens Police Academy. Especially if you get leaders from various communities, but you go through various parts of the department and show this is what we do, all right? This is how we do it, and this is why we do it. And then that community leader goes to their respected community and share that. I think we benefit from that. But we've done it in the past. Recent years we haven't, but that's something maybe we can go back to. I'm not sure. And COVID has caused some problems, but that's an event that I've been a part of that I thought benefited us.
It's something, just for anyone who's on the call, it's something that we discussed with Chief last year, and it's kind of on the list of things to do. This Lunch and Learn series is intended to be kind of an interim community education, because it's all about policing. I think that the piece that's missing here is in regard to the Citizens Police Academy, is that you're not in person, you're not creating a connection and building a relationship with all the officers and all the people who participate. But it is the intention of the police department and the foundation, as soon as we can take our masks off someday, is to look to redo that. A question that I have, and I think it's important to ask, is what can the community do? There's, it's a relationship, but relationships rely on both parties. So is there something that would be beneficial to enhancing relationships with the community that the community could be doing along with the police department?
I just speaking with officers in the community, on both sides, and essentially being in the middle, just listening to both sides. I think the common thing is, was the community side or the police side, is just saying, just being understood, just having that respect and the ability to understand their point of view, or how is it understanding and patient. We don't live in a perfect world. And do officers mess up? Absolutely. But there's a procedure to go about that. So just being patient with that procedure. If you feel something wasn't done correctly, file a complaint. Talk with a trusted officer who you believe in. Get advice. File a complaint with IA, and IA will get back to you. And same like I tell our newer officers, you need to be patient with community members, right? Use discretion when you can, but try to be understanding. We're all different. We all grew up a little bit different. So you have to be in tune with the differences in people. But just be patient. Try to be understanding and listen, right? We do a lot of talking, right? I love to talk. Like I said in the beginning, as much as I talk, I like to listen a lot more. But we need to listen because sometimes you hear clues, right? That'll help the situation. So we need to do a little bit more listening on both sides, probably.
Okay, great. I think I'm just looking, there are no more questions. So we will end. Eric, thank you so much for such a fantastic presentation and a timely presentation. And also thank you to the Charlottesville Police Department for partnership in this program. The next Lunch and Learn will be held on Wednesday, May 19th. The title is Dual Roles of the Prosecutor, Balancing Community Safety with the Fair Treatment of Offenders, and will be presented by our own Commonwealth Attorney, Joe Platania. So in the meantime, Eric, thank you again, and everyone be well and stay safe. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, guys.